In the same way humans are exposed to preservatives and additives, so are our pets. More and more animals are being prescribed a cocktail of anti-allergy medication to ease their symptoms. But there is a drug-free alternative which can benefit most animals. And veterinarian Dr. Bruce Syme joins us this morning with Indy. Good morning.
Hello there, Bruce.
Yeah, good to be here.
How common are allergies in pets? Look. Oh. Go.
Good girl, Indy.
They're really common. Basically, the latest statistic will suggest about 1 in 3 dogs has some version of allergic skin disease. 1 in 3? Yeah, so and that can vary from very mild, just having, you know, slight ear problems, or just chewing at the feet, right through to the full-blown scratching and mutilating.
That would suggest that a lot of us don't even realise it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. Well, a lot of people don't make the connection that some of the symptoms their dog is showing is actually an allergy.
Okay.
Yeah. Indy's growling at the camera, we should point out. Whenever it comes too close, good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Look, we've had a number of dogs who've suffered from this. One of our dogs used to get underneath the beds, the old spring beds, and she ripped the skin
off. Yeah, look, it's a really common problem, and as I said, it's increasing because I think really the way people are feeding their dogs nowadays, it's been more heavily reliant on processed pet food. And really, if you look back at the veterinary literature, 20 years ago, allergic to skin disease might have been, you know, 1 in 50 dogs.
Really?
And now you're seeing it, you know, 1 in 3, 1 in 4. It really shows that there's a bit of a change happening.
Just before we get into the diet, what are some of the classic symptoms? Scratching is obviously
look, obviously, I mean, with people with allergies, we tend to think of hay fever and asthma and things like that. With animals, it's generally scratching. And as I said, it can be as mild as chronic ear infections. A lot of people don't know, if you see your vet 3 or 4 times a year with a dog with ear infections, it's actually a sign of an allergy. Right. Feet licking and chewing, lots of little dogs that just always seem to spend their time licking and nibbling at their feet.
What about irritable bowel? Because one of our dogs had irritable bowel syndrome she suffered for years.
Yeah. Basically, irritable bowel is a sign of an allergy on a much deeper level, obviously being expressed at the level of the gut rather than breaking out and expressing in the skin. But
like
90%
asthma.
is scratching. Yeah, exactly. Asthma is deep in the chest, irritable bowel, and people suffer from that just as much as animals do.
Okay, so
on the gut level.
9 times out of 10, if you take your dog to a vet, the vet's going to prescribe
more than likely cortisone.
Yeah.
You know, cortisone is a magic drug when used sensibly for short periods of time. The problem is with allergies, they don't go away. When the drug wears off, the symptoms come back, you're back to your vet clinic saying, what can I do? And then it becomes the repeat prescription. Now, the problem with that is long-term cortisone has really nasty side effects.
It damages their bones.
Shortens their life, weakens their muscles, weakens their immune system. That's basically how it stops the dog scratching, is it suppresses the immune response. Now, great for the allergy, not so great for the rest of your time living.
Yeah. So we can certainly help these things by feeding them the correct nutrition. Yeah. So before we talk about what's correct, what do we need to avoid?
Look, it's always difficult to know exactly. I mean, there are so many different triggers for dogs, and what a lot of people don't understand is they look for one single thing that causes their dog to be allergic, but the problem is it's the dog's immune system that's hyperactive, and therefore it might be reacting to something they're breathing, so it might be a pollen in the air, like people with asthma. It might be an ingredient in the food. It may be a preservative that's used in the food. Sometimes it can be a contact allergy where it's just rubbing against long grass, and you get classic cases like little Staffy Terriers that get the horrible rash in the groin and the armpits just from running in long grass. But what it's really telling you is that immune system inside that animal is very unhappy. You know, it's basically overreacting to things that are quite normal in the environment.
Can you explain the concept of sterile pet food?
Yeah, look, one of the things that I guess people often forget about when we feed a processed diet that's been cooked, the reason it's shelf-stable is that it's sterile. It has no bacteria in it, which is good in one respect, but the problem is we all need bacteria. A lot of people don't realise that we actually have, I think it's 9 times as many bacterial cells in our body as we do our own body cells. So we're 90% bacteria, 10% human cells. Dogs are exactly the same, and we need these bacteria to process food in our gut level, to produce vitamins and all sorts of things, and it also affects how our immune system functions.
So, and you're not getting that in processed food?
You just don't get it. The products are sterile. I mean, a good old bone, great, covered in good bugs, you know, helps to repopulate the gut.
So you say we should avoid preservatives and that kind of food, but you also say we should avoid chicken and beef.
Well, look, basically it's about understanding biologically appropriate foods. Now, I mean, beef, unfortunately, is not what I would call traditionally biologically appropriate, because a dog is going to find it very hard to pull down a cow, literally in the wild, and eat it. So it's not a common food source. Chicken, although it would be very logical that it's a food source, today's battery chicken is unfortunately raised in such a way that the nutritional value of the meat is not particularly good. Now, you or I who eat chicken once a week, fine, but if you feed a dog constantly one source of meat, and people tend to do that, they lock onto one thing. My dog eats chicken mince. If he eats it day in, day out, 7 days a week, you're going to find you'll end up with nutritional problems.
All right, for people
who... variety is good.
Yeah, exactly. Look, for people who want to make their own dog food, what do they do?
Look, basically, it's not that difficult. You really need to start with a basic formula. Meat, OK? Dogs are carnivores, cats are carnivores, so meat should be the predominant ingredient in the diet.
Uncooked meat.
Uncooked meat, so yes, raw meat. Obviously, unless your dog learns how to cook, my logic is we shouldn't be cooking for them.
But not beef and not chicken?
Well, ideally not beef and chicken. I mean, and still, I mean, look, at the end of the day, sometimes a bit of raw beef and chicken in small amounts is going to be fine. I like kangaroo because I just think it's a wonderful organic meat source. It's low in fat, it's quite affordable, and we have a terrific supply of it in Australia. So it forms a good basis. You need a vegetable amount, so about 10% vegetables, and again, they need to be either lightly steamed or minced up. And whole grains, OK? A lot of the problems with processed food is that they're very high in carbohydrate, completely unnatural for a dog to have a diet that's 50% carbohydrate. So high meat protein and cracked whole grains, things like rolled oats, you can just soak them in water, mix them in, and you can create a very simple diet. Add some multivitamins, some minerals, you know, a little supplement to make sure you get the balance.
Some oil.
Fatty acids are really important, omega-3 fatty acids.
Would you agree that people, because I think people can kind of go the other way and they think, well, I'll make my dog's bones really strong and I'll put heaps of calcium in there, but that actually can ruin their bones.
Yeah, look, you've got to be careful. I mean, everything must be in balance, and one of the hard parts is, I mean, a dog or a person doesn't eat a balanced diet every meal. So when you're calculating a diet, you need to sort of have an overall approach to making sure that the balance is correct. And raw bones is the easiest way to make sure they're getting the right amount of calcium.
Exactly. And water. Let's not forget water.
Correct indeed. Yeah. Water is really important. More important with dry food because there's no moisture in it.
And just quickly, what have you got there? This is fatty acids.
Look, correct. This is a fatty acid supplement. Really important again because fatty acids are very fragile. So most processed foods don't have good levels. Instead of using cortisone in my practice, we use antioxidants. So this is an antioxidant tablet designed for people, but antioxidants can actually replace the role of cortisone. Really good, healthy tucker.
Good on you,
Love it. I love it. Thank you.
Great to see you.
Great pleasure.
Thank you. We'll be back after this.